Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 54 of the B Graders. I'm all by my own this week. Euro boy's a little bit too busy with work and so forth, but we are going to have a very special guest shortly and something to look forward to. Quick news, the Giro d'Italia had a rest day yesterday and Simon Yates, Australia's own Simon Yates, is still in the pink jersey, and he won a stage in the leaders jersey the other night, which is what all Grand Tour riders want to do if they ever get the chances to win a stage of a Grand Tour in the leaders jersey. He won at the top of the mountain. Esteban Chavez is in third place. Mitchell and Scott are taking all before them right now in the Giro d'Italia, and it's back on TV tonight, but it's still got 2 weeks to go. Chris Froome has lost a bit of time. 2 weeks is a long time in Italy at this time of the year. At the weekend, there wasn't much racing going on, but Peel District Cycling Club put on a bike race, and it was a beautiful bike race. They raced out at Serpentine. And the winner of A grade out there was the under-19 road champion, who, incidentally, I must make mention, Tyler Lindorf, congratulations, been selected to represent Australia at the Junior World Championships, and of course he's been a co-host on our show. He put away the oldest man in the breakaway, Connor Lay, who isn't even 20 yet, I don't think. Well done to Connor Lay, running second. There was a very bad crash in B grade. We are not going to show you the pictures of the young lad who crashed, but our best wishes go out to Matty Connon. We want to make sure that you're feeling better real quick, mate, and be back on that bike. A very bad crash, but I'm sure you're going to bounce back beautifully. Now, racing coming up this weekend. West Coast Masters kick off their road season at Chidlow B. That's on Sunday, and Peel Districts at Dog Hill on Saturday afternoon. But bear with me, we'll be back in a moment with a very, very special guest. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got cycling royalty here this week. We've had his son on the show a couple of days, Murray Hall. Welcome to the B Graders. You don't know how much this means to me to have this man sitting on the B Graders. This gives us so much credibility. The reason Murray is here is we are talking about the newest club in Western Australia that is kicking great goals, X Speed Racing, which I'm told you are the face of, according to Amanda O'Connor, who does all the work.
Well, I'm here because she's out doing all the work today. She's doing school programs today, and so I get the gig. It's great.
Yep. So tell us about X Speed Racing. Why has X Speed Racing started? And I know it's got very much a junior element to the idea of this club.
Okay, so we've had this vision for a long time that the sport doesn't start at the high performance end. You know as well as I do, blokes like Cameron and Travis and Freiberg and you could rattle off 50
Durbridge,
more than
Sunderland, all the boys.
Correct.
Yep.
They didn't turn up as 22-year-olds riding 9.5 second 200s and 420 individual pursuits. They started as 11, 12, 13-year-old kids, right? So our belief, it firmly sits with that's the development area of the sport. We're not stuck on that only, but that's the stepping stone, that's the lead in. We've seen it 100 times. That's where it starts. That's where our belief is. That's where we want to drive the train. So Amanda's out doing schools programs and we're bringing kids into the sport at the absolute ground roots. And our idea is that we've got a 5-year plan in development, but every year you turn that 5-year plan on again.
Yep.
So that in 5 years' time, remember this conversation, because they're the kids that you'll be reading going to the World Junior Championships, and you'll be saying, hang on a minute, I remember when this kid turned up.
Now, of course, we've got cycling clubs out there with kids in the sport, like Midland have got kids and other clubs have got kids, but you guys are doing it differently. You've basically reignited the old schools program that happened for a little bit of time in the 90s.
Correct, and WACE used to do the sort of things that X Speed are now doing.
Yeah, talent ID and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Now, for a variety of reasons that are probably good for a discussion on another day, they're not doing it anymore. And we see an area there that we can jump in, and we're both passionate about that, and we just believe that by sending Amanda into the schools, doing all that testing, I spoke to her just before we come in here, and she's got 12 to 14 kids from this week's program alone. Now, that's not going to shatter the world, but that's 12 or 14 more kids than you had last week. So we can keep that ball rolling. That's where we're going. Now,
I read on the website and everything, and you can check out X Speed Racing on their Facebook page and on also their website, which you'll see the details of. You guys are supplying bikes and equipment to some of these kids. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, look, that's a really difficult area when someone first comes into the sport, to say to the parent, okay, you need $1,000 bike, you need a couple $100 in clothing, you need a helmet that's worth $200 and stuff like that. So we try and supply all that stuff, all that equipment in the early stages. We're getting there. We've got a bit of equipment. If anyone has got any spare track bikes laying around their shed, and there would be hundreds of them in Perth.
Yeah, there would.
Then, and if you don't want to, if you think you might have a good cause for it, then give us a yell, and we'll make sure it gets put to good use for all the right reasons. Those bikes are on loan; they're not to be given away. But it gets the kids started. It takes a bit of pressure off the parents with expenses and stuff like that.
Well, that's a great one. Like, if you are like me, who've got a couple of track bikes lying around, and you want to see, you never know, you might be loaning your track bike. You'll get it back to the next Cameron Meyer, who's just joining the sport, and in 10 years' time they win a world title because they started on your bike. It's something to think about. Now, you've already had a club team go to Hong Kong and race a UCI Category 1 track event, gold medal. I think it was seven silver medals and a few bronze medals in there. And you've got Luke Skin and Taj Mueller about to head off to Canada.
Yeah, look, our vision is not restricted to what happens at the Speed Dome or what happens in WA. We've got bigger vision than that. We've aligned ourselves right from the very start. We've got an alliance with X-Speed in Hong Kong. That's where we got our name from. That opens the entire Asian region to us. We've got friends there, we've now got associates there, we've now got a very big in with whatever happens in Asia, we can be part of, or we can at least know what's going on. So in the last few days we've signed a memorandum of understanding with Ontario in Canada. Right. So we've spread our wings quite far now, and because we found these people in Asia and now in Canada that share the same belief.
Yep.
So we can swap riders over, we can bring riders in, we can send riders out. Everyone's on the same page.
And you've got a 14-year-old lad coming in from Hong Kong who's going to do coming in July, going to spend a semester at Guildford Grammar and train here as well?
Absolutely correct. So it's part of the same system. We're happy to accommodate this young fella. He can train with X-Speed. Yep. We'll look after him, and he's obviously going to go to school here for a semester, so it's a win-win situation. Again, it opens up our contacts, and it just shows that we want to be a player on the world stage, not the state stage.
And of course, not just track cycling, because you had a little team go across to Adelaide and ride the Central Districts Tour.
Amanda took, I think it was 9 riders across to South Australia 2 weeks ago. One of the young fellas that she picked up from the schools programs already, he won his age division over there. So it's pretty warm and fuzzy stuff.
And it's not just the kids, because you had an elite, well, I say elite, she's also Masters World Track Champion, Adelia Neethling, represented South Africa at the Commonwealth Games that I was at just a few weeks ago. So there's not just a junior club, you've still got room for seniors in there.
No, absolutely, Matt. Our focus is while it may be on junior development, it's all encompassing, right? It's about people on bikes and getting those people in the door. We worked really well with Adelia because she is one of the most passionate and dedicated athletes you'll ever meet in your life. Yep. And I was more than happy to donate my time to her to deliver her to the start line of the Commonwealth Games in the best form of any South African athlete there. And so we did our job, she did her job. It was a good result. Yeah,
it definitely was. Now, what's coming up for X-Speed? What's the next step in the next 6 to 12 months?
We've got our finger in a few pies. There's a couple of things that are coming up in Asia that we'll be part of. We have good intention to run a 2-day tour, junior tour here next year as part of the National Junior Road Series. We've got that up and running, and so that'll be our return to the local environment, and you would expect that'd be pretty well supported by everyone from interstate plus everyone we can round up here.
Sounds good. So once again, you can check out X-Speed Racing on Facebook and also on their website. They've got a fantastic jersey, a red, white and blue jersey that stands out in the road bunches and also in the track bunches. A little bit about yourself, mate. Now, for those of you who have been living under a rock for the last 50 years, Murray Hall was Australian champion, British champion. He's won more national champions than I've lined up in, I think. If there's a bike race that Murray didn't win, it's not worth winning. What was the best win Murray Hall ever had? That's a hard question, isn't it? When you've had more than a few.
Off the cuff with that one. They used to run a tour here in WA. It was called the Griffin Tour.
The Griffin West, yep.
Yeah, and it was huge. It was probably the precursor to to South Australia.
Yes.
It didn't quite get off the ground that high, but it had the opportunity to do so. And it lasted probably 4 or 5 years here, and I won that one year, and that was a pretty big deal at our level of the sport. It was a good win. I enjoyed it.
Yep. And looking back, like with the career you had, a very nomadic sort of career. You travelled all around the world and raced, and you Commonwealth Games and so forth, and represented Australia. And you now see Stephen doing something very similar. What does that do to you? Like we showed some vision of you cheering on Matt Glaetzer as he broke the minute at the Commonwealth Games the other week. I can only imagine what you do when Stephen's leading a bike race.
I guess you've got to be a parent to appreciate that,
Yeah.
you know. But Steve and I got a really good relationship because it's not just only the father and son thing, it's the connection to the sport. And even now, he still will go out for a ride and he'll bounce ideas off me and we'll talk about tactics and all that sort of stuff. And it gives me a big thrill that he would still see me as some sort of mentor to discuss that level of that he's at with me. And I really get a big buzz out of that. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's great.
Now, of course, you rode lots of bike races, but you ran a lot of bike races. When's the next time we're going to see Murray Hall run some bike races for us?
Matt, I'll tell you a little story. I'll refresh your memory on a little story.
Okay.
The last very big Grand Prix that we run out here, and it was a massive event. It took me 12 months to put it together. It cost $160,000 to put it on for the night. And I flew in a major commentator from Sydney. And 2 hours before the event,
Here we go.
he's in a hospital in Perth with a head injury, and I got no commentator and a full house, sold out. So thanks for picking the phone up that night, mate. I really appreciate it.
That is actually a defining moment in my life. I wasn't doing the gig. That's the politest way I'll say it. I wasn't doing the gig, and then I got this phone call of, could you please give us a hand, or could you please come and do the gig? And it's one of those moments in time where you have to go, do I say yes and swallow all your pride and ego? Or do you say no and say, stick it up your bum? But I actually said yes, and I tell you what, that's the best yes I've ever made, because you gave me my start on the microphone. So if anyone out there hates the sound of my voice or doesn't like listening to my commentary and cycling for the last 10 years, it is Murray Hall's fault, and I'm very appreciative of this guy. Mate, absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks,
I'm sure we're going to talk more when the cameras go off, and no, you can't listen to what we say. But for those of you who watch us each week and like us on Facebook, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we've got the Mariana Boss signed skin suit. When we get to 500 subscribers, somebody's going to win that skin suit. Where it's nearly 600 on our Facebook page. We just all need all those likes just to press subscribe to our YouTube. Next week we'll be talking about the Giro, we'll be talking about Peel Districts, we'll be talking about the first race of the West Coast Masters. That's all happening this week. We'll see you out on the road. I'm back on a bike now, so hopefully I'll go down in shirt size. We'll see what happens. All right, mate. Good on you.
Thanks, mate.
See you, folks.